Hi, scared without. I was quietly editing the video when I noticed, wow, that is a lot of time. So here we are again, reviewing
Holy Mysteries.
Oh there, I'm tired of this video already, but we're not done with bullshit. So let's have a look on the rest of the arguments.
The proportion of distance between Mecca and the North Pole to the distance between Mecca and the South Pole is exactly 1.680, the golden mean.
Funny, I found slightly different distances. And I have been looking for various results, and none of them are as near to the golden ratio as the one you present. I will agree that it's funnily near to it, but I wonder if you haven't changed the numbers to fit better. That would be naughty, and very little scientific for someone with your assumptions.
Moreover, the proportion of the distance between the South Pole and the city of Mecca to the distance between both poles is again 1.618.
It's funny that you give such a precise number with 2 zeros behind the comma. Very, very accurate. One could also add suspiciously to accurate. Oh, and by the way, you present it as if it were another proof to your point, but actually it is one of the properties of the golden ratio. So if it was true, it would only be a very cheap trick to use as a second result. Since I do not get this result myself, you'll be welcome to give your sources, particularly such accurate sources with 2 numbers behind the comma. In short, once more we have very rough approximations and pseudo-evidences that do not add up. And a bunch of cities approximate the golden ratio according to your criteria on their longitude. What about Cockburn Town and Honolulu? Or even better, why not speak about the coast part of São Francisco de Itapapoana in Brazil? And for example, the housings in the Estrada 81. Lord de Brasil, Gatinha, Santo de Casanon, Fach Milagre. But we'll get back to this place later on. Our buddy here has more to bring up.
The miracle is not over yet. The golden mean point of the Earth, according to common location language of mankind, graticule map, is in the city of Mecca. The proportion of eastern elongation to the western elongation, which are determined as solstice line from Mecca, is again 1.618. Moreover, as shown in the figure, the proportion of western elongation of Mecca to the solstice line to the perimeter of the Earth on this very latitude is surprisingly the golden mean, 1.618. The golden mean point of the Earth, for all mapping systems, even though they vary by a few kilometers, is always within the city borders of Mecca, within the holy region that includes Kaaba.
Oh yes, you are. A few kilometers. Oh my flying spaghetti monster. You are very generous on this one. I'll let you finish all your points here, and then we'll recapitulate if you don't mind.
You can measure very sensitively the distance between any 2 points with the help of Google Earth's ruler feature. If you wish, you can verify the correctness of the given ratios by calculating latitude and longitude with a simple calculator.
Alright, Tekken. Very sensitively. Ouch! Are you kidding us? You're using Google Map data as accurate data? You, sir, have no idea what accuracy means. Google Map is a very practical and a user-friendly tool. I grant you that. But it has not been designed for accuracy and is very far from it on the world large scale. Concerning the rest of your argument, I will review it with the rest later.
The Thematrix program is an American program that is used to show golden mean of pictures and paintings. If we accept the graticule map of the Earth as an alive painting whose depth never ends and open it in this program, we will find out that the golden mean point of the Earth is the city of Mecca. With respect to positive longitude and latitude values and being on the land, not the sea, the only golden mean point of the Earth is Mecca.
Alright, darling dear, let's take a quick look at your argument. So, you are taking the world map center on the Greenwich Meridian oriented in north-up, south-down fashion for your point. Basically, you are saying that it was foreseen that the Europeans would rule the world and impose their view on the 3/4 of the world. So much for white power. Then you measured the distance from Mecca to the international deadline, which is, as for the Greenwich Meridian, a complete arbitrarily chosen line on a roughly round surface, moreover chosen by white European people. And from there, you see that it also respects the golden ratio. I'll add to this, roughly respect this ratio. Since as for the last time, you get close, but you only really get there when you fuck up the data as much as needed. And once more, it's a globe. All reference systems are arbitrary. There is no point looking for a precise spot when you know that it will change as soon as you change your reference. But you then assume that we have to focus on the map, which is the common location language of mankind. So let's do it for the sake of your argument here. You already know that the flat representation of a globe is a tricky stuff, eh? For example, what is in the middle is well represented, and the nearer to the pole you get, the worse you get represented. For example, Antarctica, for which the representation is a source of headaches for any map maker who would like to stick to reality. But okay, let's play with the map and with the computer. You then use the Thematrix program. I'm definitely not going to buy this software, but I have found a good substitute in our case. You can download for free the software GIMP, which is somehow the Photoshop of the free software community. And you can get plugins that divide the picture following the golden ratio. But does it truly work the same way as the software mentioned, you will ask? Well, let's try it on your picture first. Here is a screenshot of the original video, from which I extracted the map. I used the plugin described previously, and here is what I find. Indeed, your map showed what you described, except maybe that it's difficult to tell if San Francisco de Itapabuana is not on the southwest meeting of the lines here. Well, let's have a look at other maps found on the internet. I tried to take maps that have different features and approaches of the representation so that we have a more accurate view of the different possibilities here. So, nope. Still not. Oh, is that a second match for Russia? Damn it, that does not go the right way here. Okay, something is wrong here. What the heck is going on? Houston, we've got a problem. Oh, wait. We get closer here. I think this is as close as we can get with these maps. Let's have a look on your map again if you agree, Comrade Navigator. Oh, I get it. Two details have to be taken into consideration. Antarctica has to be represented, which is not always the case on the previous ones. Good, that's a plus point for you. And Greenland has to be quite shrunk. Yeah, not all map makers have agreed on how to represent the 2,100,000 kilometers squared of Greenland on the maps. So much for the common location language of mankind, very common. By the way, Greenland is pretty much as big as Saudi Arabia in size, which makes most of the casual representations inaccurate. But the reason why Greenland is represented enlarged that way is to stick to the proportions between the longitudes. When you flatten the map, either you keep the accurate size, but then the relation to the other elements is distorted, or you distort Greenland and you keep its distance relation to the surrounding continents accurate. It's a matter of choice, I guess. But let's have a look on maps who resemble yours. Just saying, they are a minority with these both particularities, but I did my best to find some. Yeah, that's closer, but that's not it. Still not. Stop! We've got one! Well, technically it's more a representation than a map, but anyway, let's move on. Oh my! That is a second one, oh my! And technically this one is also more a representation than a map, but let's not quibble over such details. Let's start working with these two maps, since these are the 2 out of 12 that brought us the to expect result. Whee! What do we see here? Well, the northwest meeting point of the lines is in Saudi Arabia. Is it in Mecca? Hard to tell. Could also be something like 500 kilometers away, which is definitely not a few kilometers. But on your own map, it's actually also quite unclear since you are using very fat lines. And another element, I definitely think that San Francisco de Itapabuana is a good candidate for the golden point of the earth according to your own criteria. I mean, Brazil has been at the southwest golden point of the map more often than Saudi Arabia has been at the northeast golden point. And as we discussed previously, it fulfills as approximately well your other golden point criteria in regard to the latitude and distance to the international date line as Mecca. So if we recapitulate everything, we have an artificial concatenation of approximations, a collection of semi-wrong pieces of information, and once more, a shameless cherry picking. What mark would you get in science class for such a demonstration? An F, if the teacher is merciful. Actually, I wanted to give you an F-, but you gave me the inspiration for my next selling destination, so thanks, buddy. San Francisco de Itapabuana, hide your women and your pitu-pitu, cause me and me crew are coming, y'all!
Miracles continue. The Golden Mean Miracle in the Mecca verse of the Quran. There is one unique verse in the Quran that includes Mecca word and an expression that tells there are clear evidences within the city which will give belief to humanity. The relation between the city of Mecca and the Golden Mean is clearly engraved in the Ali Imran Surah, 96th verse. The total number of all letters of this verse is 47. Calculating the Golden Mean of letter total, we find out that the word of Mecca is expressed by 47 divided by 1.618 equals 29. There are 29 letters from the beginning of the verse till the word Mecca, just like it is in a world map. If only one single word or letter was missing, this ratio could never be constituted. Without any impairment, we have conducted the very same process that we conducted on the Earth map and witnessed the glorious coherence of letter numbers that reveals the relation of Mecca and the Golden Mean. All this shows that the creator of the Earth and mathematics is the same one God. Like a description that created Kaaba, Holy Region, and the Quran. He reminds whole humanity that knowing the future and common languages of humanity, he gave clues for them. A newer invention on the relation between the Golden Mean, Mecca, Kaaba, and the Quran becomes revealed in each single day.
Well, you know what? I accept this argument concerning the verse here as being a very surprising fact. Since I do not speak nor read Arabic, I cannot verify how many letters make this verse, and if indeed the word Mecca starts at the 29th letter. But I will trust you, despite all the misuse of spontaneous trust you are guilty of at this point of the video. and it is indeed the first and only argument you have that I cannot oppose with any counterfact. Except that it might be only and simply a surprising random coincidence. I recommend you to look at the following channel, le Before du Grand Journal, and particularly the playlist Les Complots. Unfortunately for the non-French speaking pirates out there, this is a French-speaking TV show. This show is brilliant in the research of surprising random coincidences that you may put together to elaborate crazy conspiracy theories. And they make a really good point. You may take any assumption and then just gather all the elements you need, and that may point toward the direction you want it to show. Please visit the channel if you speak French, it's very funny and it's very well done. But let's talk about evidences and non-evidences, since this is your point here. Do coinciding facts prove something? No kraken away. Otherwise, the playlist showed previously would prove that the TV show The Simpsons is a conspiracy of a clairvoyant union and that the Marvel superheroes are a Russian conspiracy. Does a lack of evidence disprove something? Of course not. That's why I don't presume that my video disproved your point. I haven't proved that the golden ratio was not a divine number, but I have proved that your video was inconclusive, full of at least half-lies, and tainted with a partiality and observational bias that could even make Donald Trump feel uncomfortable with. And you know what? Now let's speak about all the things you do not speak about. Kaaba. How come that this does not follow the golden ratio? I mean, for a rectangular building built in the middle of such a master plan, how come that there is no indication whatsoever that the golden ratio was used in its design? How is that possible that the master plan had foreseen one precise type of the word map used as of today, but had forgotten to put the golden ratio in the very construction at the center of it all? Why don't all currents have traditionally a format following the golden ratio? Why do we use a 16:9 screen and not a 18:11? Why does not the A format and the American paper format even get close to that ratio? Basically, if the golden ratio is so extraordinary and nice and pleasant, why don't we use it just more often with the things we are looking at most of our time? Screens and papers. And you know what? I offer you another example. Some crystals also have proportions which follow the golden mean. In particular, this is the case for the crystals which atoms organize in a pentagonal way, such as the quartz, for example. But then, if this ratio is such an important, super duper natural thing from above, how come that the diamond crystals do not follow it? They are made of atoms organized in cubes with centered face. It's quite disappointing for your theory, since you would expect that the absolute most beloved and most expensive crystals follow such a mighty proportion, wouldn't they? And I think it's only a few of the many details that do not match your theory. Concerning the presence of this ratio or not in the nature, never forget that the fact that we might not be able to explain it yet does not imply that we will never be able to explain it. Take the aurora borealis. How could scientists from the 18th century explain such a majestic beauty? It was impossible for them. They were sure it was no magic, but scientists had to wait until the 19th century to understand what was happening there, and even later to be able to prove their claim. That's why, rather than to shout out that it can only be a supreme design, one should drink a glass of fresh water. Then have a sit and start looking for further explanation and possibilities here. For some of the physical events evoked earlier, Can it be that it's due to favorable energy distribution, like a relation depending on the phi equation, for example? Or is it maybe just an observational bias? There are so many options that the religious people are not willing to take into consideration. Are we done yet? No? Oh dear.
In the figure, it is shown that the measurements with golden mean compass, also known as Leonardo compass, indicate that the city of Mecca is located on the golden mean of Arabia, while Kaaba is located on the golden mean of the city. The probability calculations indicate that all these facts cannot be a mere coincidence.
Whoa! First of all, please let me see your calculation. Please do! You say they exist, so please provide them. And don't forget the standard deviation, please. It's more important than what you may think. And concerning the compass, well, I have built one myself. I've found the plan on the internet. And if you're a bit handy, it's quite easy to realize. Please have a look. First, as a proof of concept, please see this on the map of Saudi Arabia. Indeed, there is one unique possibility to show your point. Alright. We'll take it as our starting point and as your methodology to prove a golden ratio relation. But though, what about all other possibilities? Let's not care about first and assume you are right. Here, you see a map of Mecca and wow, it's true. In that very unique one possibility that does not make much more sense than any other ones, it is at the golden ratio. Let's not look at this, although it's almost close, or at that, yep, you got it. And now guess what? I have other incredible truth to show to you. Let's take the Roman Empire at its greatest period. In 117 AD, under the Emperor Trajan, which is considered a virtuous pagan, which means that according to the theologians he was living with the same principles as the one in the Bible, but has not been saved by Christianity. This guy made the Roman Empire at its greatest, definitely contributing to making Rome the city it is, and making it the center of the world at this time. But was it at the center? Or maybe... Oh my spaghetti! So, if you take the east and west outer border of the empire, what do you see? Oh yeah! And here, the empire in 324 AD, at the beginning of the reign of Constantine, the first Christian emperor. Oh dear! And look at this map of Rome! The Municipio Uno, where the Vatican is at the golden point. And in the Vatican, the Sistine Chapel is at the golden point too. Noodly appendage. I think that the Roman Catholics are the true ones. Spaghetti, dammit! But it's not all. Look, Berlin is at the golden point between Moselland and Danzig, which were central issues for the two world wars.
Na Fritz, hast du das gehört?
Was denn, Franzi?
Hört sich an wie einen guten Grund, Großdeutschland wieder zu erobern.
Ein guter Grund, das weiß ich nicht. Aber eine Judos-Rede ist alles, was man braucht.
And the miracle continues. Bobby Henderson, noodly writer of the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, studied in Corvallis, Oregon. And now, behold the miracle. It is all clearer now. Young man, there's no need to feel down, I said. Young man, pick yourself off the ground, I said. Young man, 'cause you're in a new town, there's no need to be unhappy, young man. There's a place you can go, I said, young man. When you're short on your dove, you can stay there, and I'm sure you will find many ways to have a good time. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything for you men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. You can get yourself clean. You can have a good meal. You can do whatever you feel, young man. Are you listening to me? I said, young man, what do you wanna be? It's young man, you can make real your dream, but you've got to know this one thing. No man does it all by himself. I said, young man, put your pride on the shelf and just go there to the YMCA. I'm sure they can help you today. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything for you men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. You can get yourself cleaned. You can have a good meal. You can do whatever you feel.